guys, welcome to IB360. Today we will start a very important topic of molecular biology, that is amino acids. So amino acids, they are organic acids and they are the integral parts or monomers of proteins. So proteins are polypeptides which are made up of amino acids. In our gut, proteins ultimately break down to form amino acids and then they are absorbed by the intestine. So as you can see here, this is the basic structure or the core of every amino acid. An amino acid will have an alpha carbon. Alpha carbon is the central carbon atom which you can see here, and carbon has 4 valency, so it is attached to 4 important components or substituents accordingly. We know that CH4 is methane, so we have a central carbon atom to which 4 hydrogen atoms are attached. So this is the simplest monocarbon hydrocarbon. But if we look it in this fashion, that amino acids are nothing but substituted methanes, then we can get a very clear picture of what I'm trying to make you understand. Okay, so amino acids are the substituted methanes where 4 substituent groups occupy the 4 valency positions. So what would be the 4 substituent groups? Let us see. The first group is a carboxyl group. A carboxyl group is COO minus group. So we have a carboxyl group. Then the next important group is the amino group, which is NH2 group. But since here one extra proton is there, so since it is protonated, we are writing it like NH3 plus. So actually why this is why the charge separation is shown, it will be something like this, that this is the alpha carbon we have, to which COOH will be attached, NH2 will be attached, one hydrogen and one R group. This is the core structure of every amino acid. So what is this R group? This is the alkyl group. This is the R variant, and different amino acids, they are that means the main difference, they are singular or they are different from each other due to this R group. Otherwise the rest will be same. Every amino acid will have a alpha carbon to which a carboxyl group is attached, to which an amino group is attached, and a hydrogen is attached to fulfill the valency. So this is common in all amino acid. This part is common in all amino acid. Only the R group varies. Only the R part or the alkyl part. This is the alkyl group. Only this part varies. Okay. So what happens in what has happened in this diagram is, you see this hydrogen of COOH here, that hydrogen was there, which is the actual carboxyl group. This traversed to this amino group and protonated this particular nitrogen with this proton. Okay, so basically this hydrogen traveled to this amino group and protonated it, and this resulted to loss of proton in this side and gain of proton to this side, and this resulted to charge separation. And amino acids are mostly existing in this fashion only, and this is the Zwitter ionic state. The Zwitter ionic state. What you are seeing in this particular diagram is a Zwitter ion. Here in this diagram we do not see any charge separation, but since the proton has traveled from the carboxyl end to the amino end, we see a charge separation, development of negative charge here and development of positive charge here. Anyway, so this is the idea of every amino acid. Another important thing which you must have noticed is the third and the fourth point, The carboxylic group, the carboxyl group rather, imparts an acidic property to the amino acid. Because it has hydrogen, it is capable of donating its proton. So it is a Bronsted acid because it can donate proton. On the other hand, the amino group shows basic property because because the nitrogen, which has a lone pair of electron, we know, is capable of donating these electrons. So it is a Lewis base. Also, on the other hand, if we try to explain this through Bronsted-Lowry concept, it is a Bronsted base because it is capable of accepting proton. So this is capable of donating proton, and this, that means the amino group, is capable of accepting proton. So amino group shows basic property, while carboxylic acid part shows acidic property. Okay, so this is the entire idea of amino acid structure. This is the core, and every amino acid will follow this same rule in their structure. So these are some examples of amino acids. We see glycine, we see alanine, serine, and glutamic acid. See, in glycine, the R group is a hydrogen. In alanine, the R group is a CH3, is a methyl group, the alkyl group. In serine, we have a hydroxyl part. The entire part, this is the entire alkyl group. And in glutamic acid, this is the alpha carbon to which the amino group is attached, the carboxyl group is attached, and this is the hydrogen group, which is same. This part will be same in every amino acid, and the rest, this part is the alkyl group. Okay, so let me show you in some separate. So here this is the alkyl group, here this is the alkyl group, this one here, and in glutamic acid this is the R group. So in every amino acid the R group is different, and that is what is making each of them singular, different from each other. The rest is same, the rest part is same. An alpha carbon with 4 valency, a carboxyl group, an amino group, and a hydrogen atom to fulfill its 4th valency. The rest part is same. Okay, the next thing is polarity of the R group. The next topic is polarity of R group. In glycine and in alanine, you can notice that the R groups are nonpolar. In glycine and alanine, I am talking only about these 4 examples. There are several other amino acids. We are not considering those. I am just giving you examples through these 4 amino acids. Okay. So glycine and alanine, their R group, they are non-polar in nature because the elements, or rather the individual atoms, in case of alanine, suppose we have carbon and we have hydrogen, and there is no significant electronegativity difference between carbon and hydrogen, so naturally there would be no charge separation, naturally there would be no development of polarity. But in case of serine and in case of glutamate or glutamic acid, we see something different. We see that there is charge separation. In serine, the bond which is formed between carbon and oxygen, this bond, this will show a fractional charge distribution. The electron cloud, the electron density rather, would be more towards oxygen because oxygen has more electronegativity compared to carbon. There would be a polarity developed thereby. So the electron density will shift towards oxygen, creating a polarity. Similarly, in glutamic acid also, we have a similar CO bond where there is a hydroxyl group, and on the other hand there is a carbon. Here also the electron density will shift towards oxygen, more electronegative oxygen. Okay, and thereby these 2 amino acids, their R group will show polarity, so they would be polar in nature. Fine. Now let us move on to types of amino acids. Now there can see amino acids can be classified on the basis of, first of all, whether they are protein amino acids or non-protein amino acids. That means whether they're present in proteins or not. Also, they can be classified according to their structure and reaction into seven types. Neutral amino acids, acidic amino acids, basic amino acids, sulfur containing, alcoholic, aromatic, and heterocyclic. Heterocyclic amino acid example. See, heterocyclic means, first of all, cyclic means the R group, the substituent R group, alkyl group, will have a ring structure, and that ring will not be homocyclic. That means the corners of the rings will have different atoms, and that is why the prefix hetero has been used over here. I will explain you with one simple example of proline. Okay, one example of proline. Also, histidine is a heterocyclic amino acid. But let us first see, for the timing, the structure of proline. In proline, the R group is something like this. Okay, so this is the R group in proline. What does that mean? If this is the R group, this is not the complete amino acid. We still have to mention the alpha carbon, the COO group, the amino group, and the hydrogen. So this part is common in every amino acid. This is not the essential part. We have to focus on the R group. So see the R group. This is the R group. So as I was mentioning, cyclic means it will have a cyclic structure. So obviously this is a cyclic structure, and the various corners of the cycle will be having different atoms. So one, it is obviously a pentagon. It has 5 sides and it has 5 corners. So 4 corners have carbon, but the 5th corner has nitrogen. Also, 3 corners they have a CH2 group, methylene group. But this end it does not have, rather it has a carboxylic acid in this end, and this is the nitrogen which is found in the 5th corner. So this is an example of heterocyclic amino acid, which is proline. So I won't be actually explaining you all the 7 types, but you can get an idea from the names itself. All these amino acids are basically named according to the type of their R group. Okay, so how their R group is structured, accordingly they are divided. Neutral R group, so neutral amino acid. Acidic R group, like in case of glutamic acid. Also in case of aspartic acid you will see acidic. In glutamic acid you see this it has a carboxylic acid group, so that is why acidic. Basic amino acid, for example arginine or lysine, they will have an amino group. So an extra amino group in the R alkyl group, and the entire amino acid there would be therefore it would be basic, because already we have an amino group attached to the alpha carbon, but the R group will also have an additional amino group in case of basic amino acids, and overall the amino acid will have a basic nature. So accordingly there are 7 types of amino acids. You can go through your textbooks to find out more examples. Okay, alcoholic I have already mentioned, serine. Aromatic, there are many actually, like phenylalanine, also tryptophan, tyrosine. The 2 T's, okay, tyrosine, tryptophan, and phenylalanine also. But now let us focus on the protein amino acids and non-protein amino acids. See, protein amino acids are those amino acids which are found in proteins. It is a misconception that if you are an amino acid, you must be present inside a protein. That is a misconception because that is not an obligation. You can be a free amino acid also, or you may not be involved or inside the structural proteins at all. So there are altogether 20 amino acids which occur in proteins. That means they are forming the protein monomers. And you will soon learn a chart about such 20 amino acids. In translation class, I will discuss that chart in much more details. But for now, you should be aware of the central dogma of molecular biology. The central dogma of molecular biology claims that there is a certain procedure in which proteins are formed. We all know that DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, has got a nitrogenous base which is associated with a sugar, a pentose sugar, and this in turn is associated with a phosphate group. And this nitrogenous base can have either a double bond or a triple bond with the counterpart, with another nitrogenous base on the opposite strand, which will also be attached to a pentose sugar, which will also be associated with a phosphate group. And this is a nucleotide. This is a nucleotide, which are basic building blocks of DNA. This is DNA, and nucleotides are basic building blocks of DNA. Nucleotides, they have the nitrogenous bases. Nitrogenous bases A, T, G, C, adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine found in DNA. So depending upon the sequence of these nitrogenous bases on DNA, depending upon the sequence, so whether it is A, T, G, C or A, G, C, T or whatever, depending upon this sequence, the proteins are coded accordingly. And we have triplet codons. Triplet means 3, and codon means these nitrogenous bases basically. For example, if you go through the chart, then you will understand basically that each amino acid have been assigned these triplet codons. For example, U or uracil, if they are repeated thrice like this, then and obviously this is the thing in mRNA, because uracil is not found in DNA. I'm talking about the mRNA DNA template. If you have triple uracil repeated, then this will get translated to phenylalanine, amino acid phenylalanine. So these are codes. Just like computer codes, we have codes inside our cell, also inside our nucleus. All these codes are found inside DNA, which gets transcribed into mRNA, because DNA cannot travel across the nuclear membrane into the cytoplasm. Rather, mRNA can, and then mRNA gets translated into amino acids, and they form chains of amino acids or polypeptides. And the polypeptides, if they are much larger, then they would be called proteins, and proteins would undergo folding, and that is a separate class altogether. But for the time being, you should understand that protein amino acids are these amino acids which are coded by triplet codons of DNA, which are incorporated into proteins as amino acids, and they have a thorough process of getting formed or manufactured and incorporated in the form of chains to form amino acids. Non-protein amino acids, they do not have any such mechanism. They are not coded as such, and they are many in number, not just 20, and they can occur in both free and combined states, but not in proteins. Examples are ornithine, citrulline, GABA. Ornithine, citrulline you will get in urea cycle, and they are I mean, like, you can get citrulline from ornithine and ornithine back from citrulline. GABA is gamma aminobutyric acid, and it's a neurotransmitter, inhibitor neurotransmitter in brain and some other parts. Okay, gamma aminobutyric acid, and it's an inhibitory. What is inhibitory? That means it is not stimulatory. Unlike epinephrine or norepinephrine, it is not stimulatory, rather inhibitory neurotransmitter GABA. So that is also a non-protein amino acids. So they won't be found inside proteins. That's it. They would be free. You can have a single ornithine, you can have a single citrulline, a single GABA, but you cannot have a single alanine or a single phenylalanine or tryptophan or serine. They would always be in form of chains, in form of consecutive chains, in the form of polypeptides or proteins. That's the simple concept. So I hope you have an idea of amino acids now. If you have any question, please drop down your doubt in the comments below, and like this video, subscribe our channel IB360. Stay safe. Thank you guys.